So at 31 years old, you restarted life again from the bottom, but this time with 3 kids.
3 kids, 1 bedroom, living off my child support and then my rent money. Within a year or 2 of dating, he was like, how about if you run my company and I retire you? I don't care what is going on, what he's offering you. 3 times, like, don't do it.
How long did it take for you to realize you up?
Quickly.
How quick is quick?
Quickly. If they take you away from that, you become the shadow.
It's like a cycle because, you know, if you didn't go through everything you went through, you know, as unfortunate as it is, you wouldn't be the version of you that you are today. Hey guys, we realize a lot of you are coming to the page and enjoying the content, but we see a lot of you still aren't subscribed. And so if you could click that subscribe button, it'll help our channel grow and give you more episodes with a lot of amazing individuals. Welcome back to season 4, another new season, new episodes, new guests, and we're only bringing champions this season. Every season has had champions, but this one in particular is going to be super special because we're bringing people that are changing the game, that have a story to tell. And today's guest, listen, she is so kind at heart, beautiful personality, really breaking out of her shell, getting to the next level, doing things that she's never done before, and helping people along in the process. I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit more about herself. We have Miss Lisa.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you, Rich. For real, this is an honor. I'm flattered.
Absolutely. And so for the people who aren't familiar with you yet, you know, how would you introduce yourself?
So I would say I am Lisa, originally from Brooklyn, New York.
You know what I'm saying? New York in the crib. Yeah.
That is right. We left New York very young. However, you know, New York never leaves me.
Facts.
Never leaves when you even though you leave New York. So I help entrepreneurs structure their business accordingly to get to the capital. This is what I've been doing for some time now, although I've shifted in the industry, right? And when it comes to funding, I started doing personal loans, and then alongside, you know, I kind of done DSCR loan, mortgages within, you know, the platform. And now I'm literally solely doing, you know, stacking, lines of credit, just getting the bag to be able to position the business owners to be able to evolve and scale in their business.
Got it. Okay. We like that. And so on Attractive Mindset, usually what we do is something like a 80-20. Because in the day and age of content nowadays, people are going to go on our Instagrams or Facebooks or whatever you use, and they'll see what you currently do already, right? And we like to highlight that. We like to talk about that. But on here, we like to get to know who we're doing business with, right? And so it's important to know, you know, how you got to where you are today. And so I want to take it way back to baby Lisa.
Oh my God, we're going to go there. We are going to go there.
We're going to go
I
there.
don't think I've ever shared this on social media. You know, who is baby Lisa, taking it back there? That's a story. That's a deep one to tell. If I were to tell you, baby Lisa is from the projects. Brooklyn, New York, Marcy Projects. We was actually Jay-Z's neighbor.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember he was on Notion on the other side. And also Tata, she went to school with Tata's brother, Rodney. Rest in peace. So I am from Brooklyn, New York, Marcy Projects. And unfortunately, mom decided to take those wrong turns. So mom, drug addict, passed away 11 years ago, and dad was an absent dad for a very long time, I would say. And Lisa decided to burn the black bridge and burn the black dress, I will say, and leave New York at 14 years old.
Wow. So before we even get to you leaving New York, you getting to the age of 14, dealing with this kind of household, kind of, you know, what are your thoughts as a young kid in New York? Because New York already is a jungle, especially back in the day. And so now you're a kid surrounded by this kind of environment. What are some thoughts that are going through your mind?
Hey guys, this is Lisa from Just Lisa's Property and Capital Investing. If you have an EIN number or an LLC and it's not structured accordingly so you can position yourself or your business to be able to get capital, DM me. Let me help you structure your business accordingly so you can get to the bag. See you in the inside. Oh my God, what are my thoughts? It was just the things that we would see, back in the days, the food stands were the ones you ripped out of to go to the bodega. Mom used to sell those, no food in the house. We used to just remember they would know when it was food stamp day for my mom. They was already out the window. We would literally open up the window. We were literally cursing the crackheads out. My thought process was like, I knew I wanted better. Like I knew there was something better out there for me. And I have my siblings. I'm the second of 4.
Wow.
Even us, because we was such in a broken environment, everybody was fending for self. It wasn't even like we like kind of loved on ourselves like brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So I at that time I felt like I wanted an exit. Although I had a grandmother that lived in the project as well. That's what I would run to, which she it was my mother's ex-husband, right? My dad. They had separated, but the mom lived in the projects, and that's who I would run to rescue me when I didn't want to be in the house because we were seeing what we were seeing.
Wow. And so what would make you feel mentally the most safe at that time?
That's where it made me feel the most safe. However, my uncles all were drug dealers.
Wow.
So his brothers were drug dealers.
And so it's always interesting to see this perspective because, as a kid, when you're subjected to these kind of things, you take one of 2 routes typically, which would be you join it or you go fully against it and become the opposite, and it's very seldom the third route where you choose to go into a better position and say, hey, I know this kind of stuff and I'm not going to choose to align myself with it. So, you said you left New York at 14 with your mom being this way and your dad being absent for that time frame. Who'd you leave New York with?
I left to an art house in Puerto Rico. Mind you, they had taken me over there at one time on vacation to this art house that also raised my dad in Puerto Rico. So that's whom I wanted to relocate with. She always, I went that one time on vacation there. And I remember having my dad reach out to her when, I left the projects. I tried to go back with my, relationship with my father, and he had a wife and we didn't get along. And so
with him being absent, you knew where he was.
I did.
He just refused to come see y'all.
He would, but he would say, I'm coming this day, and I would wait for him. He wouldn't show up. But I was always like a daddy's girl trying to look for him because I knew I was trying to run away from that I was going through at home. But I was rebellious too. I left at 14 and it was God's will for me to leave because at 14 I was rebellious. I was already out there smoking weed. I was a tom girl. Like I'm big Timbs, big pants, my hoops.
Outside thugging.
Like I say that to people, like they see me so feminine now, like I would never think jumping the trains, jumping out of the taxi cabs to get to places. So his wife didn't want me in the house. I was just jumping out.
Did he have kids with her?
He did have a kid with her. He did have a kid with her.
And when you were that age, how old was that child?
I think the baby was, when my father married this lady, she had kids of her own. I don't believe he had kids with her.
Got it.
That time. He had them later on, but he was residing with her kids that were all teenagers as well.
Got it.
But they were all, with the mom, they were more passive. I was coming from the projects. I was rebellious. I was, doing all the things that you could think about. He just wanted to be in clubs, smoking weed and what have you. And so he was like, I can't have you here. You just disrupted my relationship. Yeah. If your mother can't have you, I can't have you here. And so we decided to call that aunt back in Puerto Rico, which I vacationed with. And she then decided to take me in.
Mm.
And so I end up leaving to Puerto Rico.
Wow. And when you left, what did your siblings say? Because I'm sure they felt almost the same in the same situation as you.
Oh, when they I left, oh, forget it. It was like, but mind you, I already had left my mom's house,
Mhm.
and went with my dad. So I just jumped from my mom's house, running from that, ran to my dad's, and then I end up, they was already like separated from me. Again, we were fighting. We would
Mhm.
get the cops called on each other. It was just reckless in the
Wow.
house. It was three girls, one boy.
Mm. Wow. And then with that, how was school life for you?
Cutting school in high school, just again smoking weed. We back in the day, it wasn't so much truancy when you would run through the
Hmm.
back door, like you didn't have that. It was like the paddy wagon cars.
Yeah.
If they caught you, what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
caught you, so we would know from the back door. You had the ID.
Hmm.
School back in the days is like if you were going to the airport today. Yeah,
Sheesh.
it was like that. I was in Van Nuys in high school. So yeah, it was reckless. I didn't finish high school in New York at all.
Wow. Okay. So now you transition to your aunt's house in Puerto Rico. How was she to you knowing that you dealt with this situation? You being rebellious as you was, did she accept you like that or were you forced to change?
You know what? Love that I found in that household changed,
Mm.
right? Because sometimes you see kids that are rebellious, they're lacking of something.
Hmm.
They're looking for attention.
Mm.
And I understand that now, right? And so, yeah, I say this to say that, what I challenged me the most was the language, whether you believe it or not, because we
Really?
spoke solely English, although my mother was Puerto Rican
She
and we
never taught you
were.
Spanish?
No.
Wow.
So when I went to Puerto Rico, here I am coming to school to Puerto Rico. It's my culture, but it was not something that it was, other than eating rice and beans in my house. That's
Yeah.
really what we really knew. Yeah, we knew we were Puerto Rican. We would celebrate the Puerto Rican parade when it came, but where I was from Puerto Rico, I didn't know that.
Mm. And so growing up in Puerto Rico brought you back into the culture.
To my culture and
Mm.
brought me to really what was my culture. Here I started school in Puerto Rico. They put a uniform on me with a long dress, and I was like, okay.
Mm.
I don't know. I just let myself go. I would whatever I was lacking, they gave me, and
Mm.
it just went. Even though in the transition, I was still smoking hiddenly in my grandmother's um house, and she was like, "It smells like cigarettes." She was an older,
Mhm.
and then little by little, because I wasn't in that surrounding, I
It
just
phased out.
it just phased out.
Mm.
It just phased out, and then I was more to learn the language.
Mm.
Remember going back to the school in Puerto Rico, all the girls used to speak Spanish, and I didn't know, and they would tell me, say a word in Spanish, and because I didn't know how to say it, I would still say it
Mm.
chopped up, and they were all giggle, and I was good with that.
Mm.
And I was in ESOL class too because I didn't know how to speak the language,
Mm.
and little by little, I just started learning the language, speaking it, writing it.
Mm.
Graduated from finished high school in Puerto Rico.
Okay, okay. And so now that you are transitioning into a different version of yourself, you graduated at 18, 17,
18.
18. Did you think about college immediately? Was it going to work? Like, what was your thought process after graduating?
So after I graduated from high school, I started working at a shoe store in the main downtown of Puerto Rico, and I was going to cosmetology school.
Mm. So you wanted to do like
We
hair
grow
and
up in New
stuff?
York, people doing their
Yeah.
heads or braids, all that. So yeah, I started becoming girly because when I went to Puerto Rico, I was like a tomboy, like I
Mm.
said. I was a tomboy. I had to transition to be more girly because they were like,
Mm.
buy me whole new wardrobe. I would wear this. I didn't wear bras. I was sports bra with a
Mm.
t-shirt. That was my vibe. And so yeah, I transitioned to, they would always take me to get my hair done in the hairdresser. And I was transitioned to be more girly
Mm.
and finding myself to like that. So I started cosmetology school.
Okay. And so now you in cosmetology school. Now, from what you introduce yourself as, we see that clearly changed a little bit. But, how did that journey develop and what made you switch?
To the going into cosmetology.
Yeah, so you doing cosmetology early. We know you stopped at some point, but like, what was it like you really getting into cosmetology, meeting other girls? Like, did you do hair? Were you known for that? And then what made you stop?
I did. I graduated from cosmetology, got my license, and then before getting my license, I meet baby daddy,
Mm.
my oldest son. He was a barber. He actually worked at a Master Cuts in one of the malls in
Mhm.
Puerto Rico. And he says to me, they're looking for somebody, and I was about to, to finish in the hair salon, and I was like, "Well, I'm still like." He was like, "That's why you're going to pick up experience,"
Mhm.
and so I did. I went over and finished my hours in the hair salon, and yeah, I used to kill it.
Mm.
I killed it so much that I started a Mastercuts without finishing my license. I concluded my hours in Mastercuts. I became a badass hairdresser
Mm.
because we did everything there. And then he was a barber. He showed me how to use the clippers. I wouldn't go deep into it, but I would do at least until 4, and then I finished it up with the scissors.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up being the manager to Master Cuts, and then I ran all of them in Puerto Rico as a supervisor.
Wow. Boss.
Yes.
Super boss. Okay. And
I
so
did.
now at what time, because you met on like a business interaction where he's like, hey, we looking for people over here, how did you guys connect to the point to where you had your firstborn?
Oh my God, you are taking me there, Rich. I'm really like just letting it all out. So the truth of the matter is that when I meet baby daddy, I was working at a shoe store
Mhm.
in in downtown, right? In Puerto Rico, you would say that in a shoe store at 5.50 an hour, remember? And I decided to go to school. At that time, I was dating someone older than me
Mm.
who I saw like a father figure, but I fell in love with him.
Mm.
I really did. He was such a clutch. He allowed me to get my license, my driver's license. I wasn't driving at the time. And he kind of took me through those steps where I then wanted to go to school. And he did. He was like, because although my aunt took me in, I never literally resided with her.
Mm.
Because like you just said, I know that there was still a line there. Like, they were very known. They had a big supermarket back in Puerto Rico, very wealthy people. And so I guess that, she knew I came with my issues. She kind of put me in my grandmother's house, and I would go weekends with her. I kind of served like a clutch when she was going through her divorce. So yeah, I always felt that, there was love until a certain point, that the difference of that's really not your daughter type
Yeah.
feeling.
Did she have kids?
Yes.
Mm.
And I loved them like my brother and my sisters, mind you, their daughters. I'm their aunt. But I just dealt with it because I knew that was what I had to deal with, or
yeah,
I had to turn back. So in that process, so I'm dating this guy. He's older than me. And I start going to school, and he had me under, like we were talking about previously, under his wing. I was literally a daughter, but I was this girl.
Mm.
And when I start going to school, mind you, he couldn't have no more kids. He already had older kids. He was actually already a grandpa at that time.
Wow.
And so I'm already going on 20 something. Now I'm ready wanting to form my family. I'm working. I wanted to go back to school. And so he puts me through school. And in the process of, I meet baby daddy in the school.
And so how was that connection? You being in a relationship with him, but then you meet somebody, baby daddy's around the same age as you?
Baby daddy was younger.
Okay. And so you meet somebody around the same age as you, even a little younger, and now you got to balance both.
Oh my God, Rich, forget it. So, the idea of being a mom awakes in the process.
Mm.
Why? Because the guy I'm dating, his son gets a girl pregnant.
Mm.
And I just become infatuated with baby clothes. I want to get, and then I knew that started growing me. Mind you, I have grown up lacking of this since I've been in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it got to a point when I had a little apartment at that time when I met him. I was going back to my grandmother's house now and then to take turns to take care of her. I'm living in a little studio that she would pay for $150. It was literally like a bed, a kitchen. And I would walk to this job.
Wow.
And so that's why I meet him, because he's driving, down, and I'm walking to work, and he asked me to take me home, and that's where we start dating, the older guy, Tony. And so past years, I mean, I was 18 at the time. I dated him till 21 almost, puts me through school. That's when I meet baby daddy. And next thing you know, I'm doing things that I wasn't never doing, like what I would say after work and go hang out and, have a couple of drinks. Not only he was there, but the people that I met in the mall, I didn't have that interaction when I was with him. It was like,
like a friend group.
Yeah, I was experiencing that friend group. I didn't have that. It was like, we dated, we started residing together. He took me to that little house that I lived and kind of, gave me all this stuff. And it was just him and I. So the fact that, even saying hi with a friend, I had given him a kiss, he used to be like, you going through the back door because you own a business. You coming through the back door. You don't say hi to them with a kiss. And I'm like, then that's your friend. He was like, I don't care. And so
this was the older guy.
Yes, this was Tony. So, getting that freedom and kind of just coming out of my shell, like I was like, all right, I'm working, and I'm in the mall. It was different from the shoe store. Now I'm getting not only paid, I'm getting tips. I would literally make so much money in tips doing hair. Everybody started coming to me. I'm literally in a salon where it was just glass.
Wow.
All around in the mall. So, 21, I'm like, out there. And so, yeah, I just let myself go and started hanging out with my oldest father, and it just took one time, and I was pregnant.
And so you got pregnant while you were in a relationship with the older guy. Wow. How did that story go down?
Wow. So, yeah. So he found out. Never did I tell him, just because, older guy knew something started changing in me. And he was like, "You pregnant?" And he was already noticing that I was not, staying out of work. And anyway, he kicked me out.
Wow.
He kicked me out, and since I was working, I got me an apartment. Got me an apartment. Mind you, had bought me my first car too.
He took that back too?
He didn't. He didn't take it back. He was like, you know what? You working, you just take the car, try to transfer it under your name, but get out. And so he did. I got me an apartment. I kept working, and I went on with my belly. Yeah. And then I end up not staying with baby daddy because he was ignorant. I was in a long-term relationship with someone so mature, a provider, and then I kind of put everything in perspective.
And he wasn't that. And so how did he take you being pregnant with his child?
So he moved in. He was a mama's boy. He moved in, and that didn't last long because, again, I was so mature. I cooked, I cleaned. I did the housework previously, since I was 18 or even younger, right? Because I was already living in that little apartment that I told you about when I met. Tony. Yeah, he didn't have that responsibility. It was not something that I started in my head kind of just waiting. I was like, yeah. I said, Sam, listen,
Mm.
picked up his stuff and I said, you got to go to your mother's house
Mm.
because you still want to go out drinking. I can't do this. You can still, when I have the baby, you can, but we can't live here with me.
Mm.
And so I took his clothes out and sent him over to his mother's house.
Wow.
Mind you,
Mm.
he's working in the same salon
Mm.
where I now am a manager.
Mm. And so, how was that dynamic, knowing that, you got your personal situation going on with him,
And now,
but now in the business?
oh my God, I don't even think I've ever shared this. See, my son is watching out there. I don't even think I've ever shared that. So yeah, it got very intense.
Mm.
Everybody actually knew,
Mm.
right, that him and I, and to top that off, like karma is I would say, baby daddy started dating a girl
That was in there.
from the mall.
Wow. He did it on purpose.
Listen, if you ask me if it's on purpose or karma just
Mm.
was getting back to me.
And so, wait, baby daddy didn't know that you were in a relationship with the older guy.
Baby daddy did know.
And he was okay with it.
Baby daddy knew. He was like, get out of it, get out of it.
Mm.
Baby daddy actually helped me move.
Wow.
When he kicked me out.
Wow. Wow. And so he gets into a relationship with this new girl, and you're the manager. How does that make you feel, knowing you have a baby on the way?
Oh my God. I end up getting rid of him. I'm like, you gotta go.
Mm.
Because then everybody in the mall knew but me. That happens
Mm.
too, right? And then I just happened to have somebody that worked with her, and it was like, listen, you're more my friend than me. I didn't want to say this, but everybody here knows this is what's going on.
Wow. Wow. And so in that moment, in that kind of feeling, like when you have the child, now what happens between the dynamic of you and him?
So pretty much nothing. He just tried to be in his kid's life. He would, can I go see the baby? Yeah, we could. But we just, it was like he did his life and I just continue. I was older than him. I was 20 something. I was 23, 20, almost 24 when I had my first son. And I said, you want to pass child support? You want to? Yeah, he decided to, and then he stopped, and I wasn't even worried about it. Like I then at that time, I was already offered the position to become a regional for the master cuts. Because I'm in Puerto Rico, I spoke both language. I was killing it.
Yeah.
A regional manager came in and he was like, I know you just had a baby. Why not work smarter and not harder?
Yeah.
And I'm said, what does that mean? He was like, I may need you to run the operations of the.
So you was making good bread.
I had a company car.
Wow.
I was making good money in Puerto Rico, back at that time. So I wasn't even concerned. Like I was okay with, my son and then he would just have to call me. His parents would always have to, call me prior to coming because I was traveling. I started traveling for the company around the world. Sheesh. I had a babysitter before I even had my kid. I was already organizing to have my babysitter.
Wow. And it's crazy that, for people who start off in pretty much the shittiest situations, how with consistency and determination, life plays out. And even when it plays out, it's still not perfect, but, things still work in God's favor, right? And
Amen.
So when you go through these processes and you become regional manager and everything, at that time, how does your siblings feel about that? Were you still in contact with your siblings? What did their life become like? How did your mom feel about that?
you just know the right questions to ask. And I say that to say, so when all this, right, all this abundance is happening to me, I've finally gotten to a place in my life where I've healed, if you will. Yeah, I went through the transition. I separated. I got with baby daddy, like kind of without even giving myself the time. But then, I moved up. The financing came. I didn't have to depend on baby daddy. Never lived on, again with anybody else. I got my own place. Um, at that time my uncle was supposed to come home, and he owned a beautiful home in Puerto Rico, and he says he can send me a letter. He was like, take over, go live in my place. I'm about to come home, fix it. I kind of took out the squatters. I wrote a letter. We took care of them. I was like, I'm going to give you your first rent. I took over his crib. I lived there rent free.
Wow.
Beautiful crib with pool. And at that time, no, this was before I had my son. I kind of just really was fading away. Even my siblings, there was no contact. This was me in Puerto Rico, what the siblings have done for me. But at the same time, I was just becoming independent, away from them being a shadow of them as well, right? Because I was doing my own thing. Because they kind of just had that separation. So I knew at one time I had to start shining for myself and taking this position. I was traveling. They weren't taking care of my kids. I had somebody else take care of my kid anyway. But no, I already had I was pregnant with my oldest, about to give birth. I was going to have a baby shower. All the clients that I did their hair, there was professionals. I did my own baby shower. And I didn't need anything. And the day of my baby shower, my mother, my real mother,
shows up,
who was already diagnosed HIV.
Wow.
And was in a program for some time now. She apparently had met somebody there that was from Puerto Rico, and she showed up in the supermarket of my aunt that raised me, and she wanted to see me. And my sibling, who was up front, was like, today's her baby shower.
Damn.
Like, no one told me. Then she sat there, she was like, call her. And they were like this would just destroy Lisa right now, and they were like, if you can come back tomorrow. And I was already about to give birth, and I kind of closed that page of my life, right? And I would hear that she was sick. I would hear, but I just didn't even want to be bothered. And so the next day after the baby shower, whatever, my sibling, I would call my brother. He said to me, hey, I didn't want to tell you today, the day of your baby shower yesterday, and you just wanted to enjoy, but your mother showed up. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. It's up to you, what you want to do, but she wants to see you. And then I talked to my aunt. She was like, you people do make mistakes, feel it in your heart. You're gonna be a mom now, and you got to put this. This should also be part of your healing, and forgive her. And so they left. She left a number, and so I ended up calling her. She's like, oh my God, I want to see you. And I was like, all right, so meet at the supermarket. I'll meet you there. And she did. And then I brought her over to my place. And she was already looking very deteriorated. And I have asked her, because I was already hearing that, she was sick and what have you. And she was like, oh no, I'm not. I'm rehab. I've been rehabs for some time now or whatever. And so I forgave her. I forgave her because I was gonna become a mom, and I was like, I gotta drop this. This is the part that I have to seal. This was this was my missing piece to kind of just close this chapter of my life that I really had. I don't want to say I was living in a lie, but I was just, I kind of thought I sponged that, right? Because when I started, became the professional that I became, hanging around different people, I kind of just, they would ask me where she was or who. I would say, like, I was very grateful for my aunt who had changed my life completely, who gave me a different perspective of life and education. I literally became a woman who cooked like a Puerto Rican, who just did everything that I never thought I would do when I came to Puerto Rico as a New Yorican. So I closed that chapter. She went on with her life, and I gave birth to my son, and then I started being in contact again with my sisters, and they would write to me, and they were like, we're the missing piece, and we kind of started talking again, and I want to say I had my kid. 2 years later, they called me. She was already in hospice, and I decided to fly out, and so I did, and we had another interaction where, when I forgave her, she was like very nonchalant about it, but this time she was like, already in hospice, very skinny. I still have those pictures. And she says to me, if I can go back in time, I would, but it's too late now. She was already like, I would say I left, and 2 days later they called me. She had passed, and I didn't go. I did support the funeral and what have you, monetary, but I didn't. But at that time, I was like, I really like was done with that. I was done with that. Yeah.
And so, there's a feeling because, that situation is going to be hard no matter what. But, I also had issues with my mom growing up.
That's a tough one, right?
She left the entire state of New York and went to Atlanta, and I had a stepfather, and she like basically started a new life with him and told me, figure out what you're gonna do. And I was 16 at the time. And so I had to pretty much enroll myself in 12th grade and graduate and do all of that stuff in New York and whatnot. And
with other siblings?
With other siblings around, and I wasn't even in contact with them like that. Like, nobody really knew that chapter of my life. And so why I say that is because, fast forward now, literally last year is when we started talking again. And, I forgave her. But even in forgiveness, there's a lot of pain. And I feel like people don't really understand it that much. Like, I'm not necessarily mad at the situation anymore, but I still feel it, right? And when you feel it, like, it hurts. It hurts because, yes, you see this version of them now, and of course, you're older, they're older, and so you almost have pity, but the inner child in you sees the version of them that hurt you. And
you're so right.
That's the part that you can't fully let go. You're grown enough to accept the version of them they are now, but the inner child in you is not healed enough yet to forgive that person that,
And I want to say, as a child of God, and I believe in a forgiveness, I don't think that we will ever have that full. I don't think and I want to say, but as I know I've healed, I put that, but that full forgiveness, And it's not hate like you're just saying.
Yeah.
It's almost like, but at the same time, like you just, because I say this because I'm a mom
Mm-hmm.
and I don't find it ever. I look at like how I can ever fail my kids or just walk away from them or I just, I don't.
And now that would, that makes me think about the golden question, where oftentimes in life, we go through things that we shouldn't have gone through, but with us going through them, we create a life for our family, friends, children that they will never have to deal with. Right. And so, you being a mom, yes, you inside feel very shitty about that situation, but you now have a bar that has to be reached for you as a mom. You were like, I'll never do that to my kids. I'll never
Absolutely.
be this way with them. The interactions from your father as well. I'm going to make sure that I'm here. I'm going to make sure that, we're locked in. I'm going to make sure, and I can see it. The first time you came to the studio, you brought your daughter. Next time you come to the studio, you have your son. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell just from the interaction, the comfortability, the greetings that they give, like, you love your children. And that's a testament to you too. The growth that you've had and the things that you've dealt with that you didn't let hold you back, from baby daddy situations to parental situations to life situations. And so, got to give you your flowers for that.
Appreciate you. I'm humble.
Absolutely. And now transitioning from, that chapter, how did you actually get out of doing hair?
So this, yeah, I'm telling you, listen. So how to get that? So I had my oldest. I traveled. But I was not doing hair anymore because remember when I started traveling, I started running the operations. I was
Mhm.
ahead of, so I did no hair.
Mm.
I did no hair no more. I was running 8 beauty salons in Puerto Rico.
Mm.
I had my son, and I did this for a long time.
Mhm.
Good money, but it was I didn't see my son grow.
Mm.
I
You wanted
remember
that time. You wanted that time. Yep.
I got caught up in, but since I had a great babysitter where she would take so good care of my son that she would take care. She was like, I'm not doing nothing this weekend because I went work weekends when I was in town. And I was like, well, you come with me. And even her daughters was like, oh my God, you take mommy too on the weekends. I was like, oh,
Mm.
she was that. She was the nana. She was everything to me. So, and doing hair, started managing them for a long time, traveling. And I started going to church with my son. He was doing singing in church. I would sponsor other kids in church and
And
what
this is
have
still in
you.
Puerto Rico?
This is all in Puerto Rico.
Mhm.
This is all in Puerto Rico. I would sponsor kids in church. We were active in church, and president of the church and all that. Then he was like, "You single mom?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a single mom." He was like, "Oh my God, I have a friend of mine's
Mhm.
who, he's very prominent in his town. He's single guy. I think you guys would be a." And I was like, "Oh God,
Mhm.
I was like, I just love my life." And he was like, "Oh my God, your kid is raising. He's such a good mom. He's in the chorus." And then I had my kid playing also, he would play a Pamper League and baseball. I would also sponsor those kids. I was a single mom, would make good money. There was, poverty in Puerto Rico, how it is. I would sponsor the kids too. And so he was like, you need a father figure, family in church. They were like, Lisa, you're not going to be single all your life,
Mhm.
give yourself an opportunity. So then they introduced me to this engineer.
Mm.
My son has 7 years old at that time. Again, and engineer had a gas station, ran a company, and I was introduced to him, and I was like, no, it's not my type. But this guy was like persistent flowers to all the salons I used
Mm.
to visit. Um, gifts consistently.
Oh, he was setting the bar.
He was setting the bar
Mm.
because he knew they was like, look, she's an area supervisor back
Mm-hmm.
in Puerto Rico. She's this, she's that. So they also presented me very well. Good family, you know, whatever the case may be. And so yeah, the guy used to pull up, and next thing you know, I started dating the guy, and he was like, you know, within a year or two of dating, he was like, how about if you run my company
Mm.
and I retire you?
Mm. Hit you with that smooth talk. Wow. Run my company and I'll retire
and I was
you.
like, you know, no, he was like, you know, you can still little by little. He said, because it was like, how much you make? And I told him, he was like, I'll double that.
Wow.
And you can raise a kid. I'll do that. And, you know, and then my family was like, Lisa, and I was like, oh, I really know. This is an independent woman. I've been working. I was like, I don't. It was like little by little you could, and little by little I start doing stuff for him in the company, still doing my stuff, and I resigned. I resigned. My uncle comes home. I sell his properties, and I now then live with the twins' father. So my twins after 7 years, and that's how I stopped doing hair.
Wow. You have 3 kids.
I have 3, and 2 of them are twins.
Yeah, 2 of them are twins. Wow. And those are it's a girl boy twin, or
it's a girl boy twin. You saw I brought the girl. She's the twin to the boy.
So he's the twin.
Yeah, and the girl's the twin.
Gotcha.
To him. Yeah.
Okay. So that's not your oldest.
No, my oldest is married.
Okay.
From the barber.
Gotcha.
Remember?
Yeah.
We talked about it's puzzling all. We're not telling lies here.
Okay.
Listen, we're letting it all out right here.
I see. Okay. And so now that you start this new chapter, you know, this new journey, and I want to make this prevalent to people because sometimes people feel like when a chapter ends, that's it. But this is also when new life begins. You know, how old were you when you resigned from the position that you thought was going to be for the rest of your life?
I started there, like I said, I was 21, 22 as a hairdresser. It did take me 2 years to become less than a year and something to become manager. And then I did almost into my 30s.
Wow.
Almost until close to my 30s to resign.
Wow. And so, again, in the audience, I want you to listen to that. Started off as a hairdresser, worked the way up the ranks, and almost till 30s, till she resigned that job. And she's still going now. There's a lot of people that I come across that late 20s, even early 30s. And you're like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing in life. I'm running out of time. Calm down.
Exactly. Take a chill pill.
Calm down. Life is still going. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you do have to take a step back. Sometimes you do have to understand that the world is moving differently now, especially, you know, when I grew up, a little bit of different times, you know, so I get that part, but understand that you still have time. Right. So,
I agree. I'm a big believer that life is long.
Very long.
You know, when people say life is short, I'm like,
nah. It's the longest thing we would literally ever do.
You know, as I'm telling my story and you just said that, I'm saying, you know, life is long, and this is why I continue to say that, because you get to control, delete it, and do it again. Mm-hmm. So you see how, like you just said, I control, delete it. How many times? How many times now that we just having a conversation, right? How then when I started, when I stopped, and now, So life is long, and I just continue to live by that, because you do get to control, delete it again, and that's what changes the ones that succeed, when you able to set your mind that you control and I'll delete it again, and not stay stagnant because what's happening to you, it's really happening for you.
It's not what's happening to you, it's what's happening for you. Gems, literal gems. Okay, so now we transition to the Mr. Resign You chapter.
The midst of resign, new chapter.
And so in this chapter, walk us through life as an independent woman, because women often, especially when they have to take care of themselves, have to do a lot of things for themselves, grow up a certain way, they don't want to feel like they're stuck, especially not from a man. And so with that kind of feeling, you took this leap of faith, your family's talking to you and you say, okay, cool, I resign. Inside, not even mentally, but inside, how does relying on a male figure when you've never had that kind of male figure in your life change you?
I want to say to that before we went, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't care what is going on, what he's offering you 3 times, like, don't do it. So, yeah, with that said, like, yeah, that was the biggest mistake I made.
Damn. I honestly wasn't expecting that reaction. Wow.
Yes, because again, it was the biggest mistake because I understand today that you are not an independent soul if you do not have an independent income, economy.
Wow. And so do you feel like, well, not feel like, but was the flowers every day and talking to you and all that, was it a facade?
A hook.
Wow.
If you come to look at it, attorneys, they want to have a wife that is a producer as well. Mm-hmm. If they take you away from that, you have lost your identity. You become the shadow. No more decision makings. There is not happy medium. It's what I say, and that's it.
Wow.
But you don't even see that coming. At least I didn't, right? But even though I was giving up my identity. I walked in the rooms I walked in. I was giving up my authority. But then when you're persuaded by culture, right? And not reality.
That's big.
Shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Wow. I've never even heard it put that way. When you're persuaded by culture and not reality, because you're right. And different cultures do this and they put these kind of false narratives on you just because it's always been this way.
Raise your kid with somebody. You need to give yourself an opportunity. You need to, he's a this and he's a that. And so you're kind of being sold, right? It's like the perception of sell. It's the ability of making someone do something they don't want to do, but it's going to benefit both.
Wow. So let's get right into it then, How long did it take for you to realize you fucked up?
Quickly.
How quick is quick?
Quickly. Because when you're talking about a woman that's making her own money, traveling, fleet car for gas, company car. And now I'm having to wait for somebody to give me gas money. Although if I'm working, he still has me on payroll, but
wow.
It changed my life. I became the most miserable woman in my life. Like wow. The time that I hit rock bottom, even though I went through all of that with, babies, I was growth in between healing, and I made it to the top. And I stumbled the moment I gave up freedom to be happy. Because I was either.
Damn. And you had kids with him?
I know. I had my oldest. I was 7 years old. At that time, I didn't. I didn't. And I was like, he would beg me. I was like, no, I don't even want no more kids. Like, I was depressed. I couldn't even though I was in the house. I was running in from his business from the house. I would make a meal for him, go pick up my oldest in school, come back to deal with, invoices and that. Cause again, he was an engineer. Um, and I'm not going to say, listen, he's so much that continued to persuade me. I wanted a beach apartment because he moved away 2 hours from where I was originally from in Puerto Rico. And so to continue to persuade me, he was like, I went to go see the beach apartment, and he said, we went the realtor and she loved it. He took out a check, an empty check, and he was like, just put a number on it. We're buying it.
And so I have a controversial question.
Do it.
And so
I'm scared.
There's a dynamic where a lot of women relate things to the old days where they talk about, we're the men that just want to provide and we want to be housewives again and everything and blah, blah, blah. And essentially, you having been successful by yourself already, turning into a version of a housewife where you really don't have that much freedom anymore. Do you think that's the only reason you felt that way, because you had your own ambitions?
Absolutely. I absolutely. Oh, I'm not made for that. I'm big on being, since I'm a provider as well, you can't take that from me. I don't care if you're making $3 million. I have to bring something to the table. And because I've been there. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't tell me to bring a gallon of milk and you have to sell me $10. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
facts.
Don't call me if, you need something and I don't have the capability of doing that.
Yeah. So in the dynamic of like the man with your stance on it, and the dynamic of the man paying for everything, usually, like if you had a partner that you were with, you wouldn't mind building with them. Like, I put my money up, you put your money up, and we be bosses together.
Absolutely not. I get caught up with the wrong problem, with the wrong dude, let's say, for instance, because I'm already like that. I find myself getting, given too much, if you will.
Gotcha.
Because that's who I am. Because I'm such a great believer of that.
Yeah.
That I don't mind. Like, I got it. I'm good with that. I show up, with something. Invite me over to your house. I'm like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get something. That's just who I am. Mm-hmm. So I'm all for it. I think I would have been a multi-millionaire a long time, having somebody that, we can definitely build together. But we built our own empire. Absolutely.
Fellas. You heard it here? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to treat her with, you know what I'm saying? Hey, listen. Hey, yeah.
It's the truth. I mean, I think about it. I love 50-50. I'm good with that. I'm not.
Hey, I feel like we got to put that in the trailer. I love 50-50. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a statement that doesn't happen. Especially not in this society. Like, oh, they want to go 50-50. Yeah? And I feel like that's only women that can't see vision.
See, like you post the ATM. Like, I don't see how you can be asking somebody for something. Like, I can't. Again, invite me over. I'm like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to make sure, I go all out. I'm going to, what we drink and I don't care if you don't, you have everything. I'm going to show up.
So now with you, because we can see like a wave, right? This is how life naturally works. We can see a wave from what you've told us so far. And then you started going way up. And then this gentleman took you back down. At what point do you decide to start climbing the mountain again?
When I divorce. When you say, and you just said it, I was way up, and I didn't go. I went down deep into the dirt. Okay, I hit rock bottom. When living in Puerto Rico, and since I got there, all the stuff that I told you, I don't ever think I cried so many tears, and I don't even think it's because I made it that high, because I was so independent, and to see myself literally being stripped of everything. And then here I am, But then also follow me when I'm saying this. How you saying I got pregnant with my twins? You know where I end up living?
Where?
In that same beach apartment that he bought me. Alone.
Damn.
Separated.
And so you met the guy that you got pregnant with the twins with after you divorced him?
No. I married. We end up getting married. So I resigned. Again, when I resigned, he still was, captivating. He was still bought me the new BMW, bought me the beach apartment. Like I said, put down the down payments, prominent. I'm telling you, this guy never had kids, owned tons of properties, an engineer. But then I'm working, still doing little things here while I'm getting trained with the CPA, how to run his business. I says to him, I need to go back to work. He's like, what do you mean? Like, I was just my mental, like, I'm really like, I'm feeling depressed. And he was like, what are you going to do? There was a nearby JCPenney, I remember. And I was like, can I just do like a part-time? He's like, do a part-time, but let's make a deal until we marry. Because then he proposed. We lived together for a year and something, and he proposed, and so I ended up leaving it at the time that I worked there a little part-time, kind of eased my mind. I was still making a little cash. He was, had me on payroll. Long story short, we married, and I was always going to the beach apartment after he bought me the beach apartment because he lived 2 hours away. And I had, built my friendships over there. I was in the gym, all that before I got married and everything. And so I was pregnant with the twins when I was going back and forth. I got pregnant with the twins. And every time I tell him, you gonna come to the beach apartment after you finish working? He was like, no, I have to stay working. You go. And I remember one day, his brother-in-law, we had a get together in the house, and he was like, where you was at last weekend? I was like, in the beach apartment. And where was the other weekend that I came? I was in the beach apartment. He's like, you go away? I said, almost every weekend, because that's, all my family that get to go over there. And plus I had him, he's an engineer. He did everything I wanted in the beach apartment. He brought down the ceiling. He kind of I decorated like it was literally like almost a model apartment.
Wow.
It's a brand new built a community right in the beach. And then again, since I had girlfriends that we went to the gym that was nearby, we used to run together. And anyhow, long story short, but I was blind to this. I didn't think this man adored me. He gave me everything. I kind of was already getting used to, then I worked from home. I would go on my weekend, drive my badass car, whatever.
He cheated on you? Oh, I wasn't expecting a plot twist. I just put two and two together. Holy shit. Wow. Wow. I put it together when she said, no, you go. No, you go.
And then I remember, but then I didn't, we were hanging out, and he was like, people that own a store, they attend to it, because if not, they lose it. And I was like, it kind of just went over my head. I was like, here I am pulling up in the 525, my beach apartment, decor to the T. He's still being how he is. Literally, we lived together longer than I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have more kids. And he was like, oh, one more. And I was like, well, if that's the case, because I was, working out. I had some work done. My son was 7 years old. And I was like, well, we making I said, if I do one more, you have to read And he was like, all right, I'll write it on paper, just one more. So we were having a good time. My son was, we was going out, partying with, whatever, us. And then I got blindsided, kept leaving. And, when I got pregnant with the twins, I was literally 4 months pregnant. And then one time I was like, are you going to come? You always not come. He's like, I'm going to go one day. I'm gonna go. And then one day, he was sleeping, I remember, and I didn't have the alarm clock, and I was like, I grabbed his phone to see what time it was because I was already like, oh, I gotta get up. And I grabbed his phone. He had received the text talking about I love you, and I was like,
damn.
that's
while
why.
you 4 months pregnant.
That part, I thought I was like, all right, I already adapted. I already was doing. I was already, on payroll. We kind of was just living, and then, and my life just went to hell from there.
And so after
It
you
was-
find this out, do you, you know what I'm saying? Because, Latinas, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
You wake him up with the L. He got the snip.
Oh my God. Let me tell you. You see, when I tell you the guy did, it was like, all right, I was in a different area of my life. And then baby daddy, even though it was a lot going on there too. But with this one, with the twins, I had so much emotions. Mind you, when I found out I was pregnant with twins, I died. Like, he was want to call everybody. I was like, leave the phone, drop the phone. Like, I don't want nobody to know. Like, no. Yeah, I went crazy.
You woke him up.
You know what? I grabbed the phone. I came back out. He was still sleeping. I took my phone. I took her number down on my phone and just put clothes on, and I just started walking, and I trembling, like everything just came down. I remember I was pregnant with the twins. I was like, oh my God, like, no wonder everything was just going through my head. I was like, just crazy, like, oh my God, like, I couldn't believe it. And I had called somebody, and they were like, don't flip, Lisa, you got to take it easy. But the devil, when he's about to didn't say nothing. I got up. I still did breakfast, and I was just in my sobbing, and I was like, you like oh my. We turn on the TV, watching the TV. How you telling me start watching this movie is about him cheating on her? I was like, this is gonna purple. I gotta say something. Yo, I couldn't. And I, in between we watching this movie and he's cheating, and I'm like, you know what? They're pieces of shit. And I start talking in between lines. I'm like, and he's like, this is like,
You think he knows?
Of course he knew, because I was like, you know what? That's the same shit that I was going on here. And I'm like, oh no, mind you, when I took the phone and I took her number down, I called her from my phone.
And did she know about you?
She had to. I was pregnant, but because I was going, coming, they had to, because in a little town that he lived at, I was pulling up. They know him already. He was prominent. But I don't know. What about women? Sometimes I got to say that a very prominent guy, can be single for a very long time. Nobody want his ass. The moment he get a girl, they get curious.
That is true.
Tell me
that is true.
I've been hearing guys that be like, damn, I be single 10 years. And I'm not even a gay motherfucker call me. The moment I get a girl, they be coming out the woodwork. Yeah. I'm like, this bitch ain't call me never.
Damn.
Say that.
It's like the forbidden fruit they want.
Exactly. I'm like, nobody wanted this man. Exactly. Now everybody wants him. And so, and I guess he getting that desire that he didn't feel or get, he done fell.
Yeah. It enticed him.
It enticed him. And then I was feeling in the moment secure. Now I'm pregnant. This man spent $50,000 or more in a wedding of 25 people.
Sheesh.
Cancun. I got a beach apartment. I'm rolling up in a 525. Like, my kid is in one of the most expensive private school in Puerto Rico, bilingual private school. That's not even his.
And all that security starts to like blink. And he already made you resign.
I have no job. I live off a bank account that he puts the money in. That's how I pay my bills. But I let all that emotion that I was happening, that I found out who she was. I went crazy, like you just said. Lost it. hit him with the phone. He had to leave the house. And from there, it just went downhill. I'm talking about he wanted to take the car away from me. He closed the bank account.
Wow.
Lights turned off.
Wow.
Didn't pay the beach apartment.
Damn.
It went down.
He filed for divorce?
He filed for divorce.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that story to take that turn. Wow.
You see how karma had followed me along for my wrongdoing? Initially, at least I feel. Because I would say this, not for nothing, but you see baby daddy, see me, you be like, there was just no way. There was just no way. For some reason, I was never attracted to like fine looking guys. You know what I'm saying? I just, mind you, he was not my type ever. Yeah. I said that initially. He just, again, had that persuasiveness, So yeah, it went downhill. I lost everything. I would cry at nights. I would call him. I'm not going over there.
Wow.
So I spent my entire twin belly trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life.
Damn. And how old are you at this point?
Me? I'm 48.
No, not now. Oh. But at when he did that.
30. I mean, I got divorced in 2008. 2008, I got divorced.
How old are you in 2008?
I'm 48 now.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to do the math. Yeah. I'll do the math.
Do the math.
What's the math,
30. Dan? I was 33.
33?
Do the math. I was like 33, I think. 33. Right?
Okay. So, again, I will talk to you guys. You have more time. 31? 31. So, 31 years old. 30s now. We're out of the 20s, into the 30s. And again, you can see who and what she is right now at 48. You have time. You have time. You know what I'm saying? And I want to make sure that I say that because a lot of you are not going to watch this podcast, maybe not in a whole one sitting, but if you do decide to come back to it, like, understand these are chapters that we're talking about. This is not stuff that you're going to find on her Instagram or Facebook page.
Not.
None of that stuff. And I want you to understand the person behind what they're doing currently, because anybody can get in and do some real estate stuff, do credit stuff, sell stuff, whatever, any of our professions. The profession is the skill set, but the human being is what makes the skill set different. Right. And so,
amen to that.
What did you decide to do to change your life?
So it takes off. At this time, I hit rock bottom. I know at this time I have twins. I have 3 kids at this time. No job. If I go get a job, I'm going to be spending it on childcare. Not only for 2, for 3.
Damn.
I can't expense it. He had taken away the car, the apartment. He didn't want to pay it. HOA want to cut off my lights and all that because HOA, he didn't pay that.
What about for his kids though?
He'll provide bare minimum for his kids, barely to survive off of. And he then we started the divorce process. I at that time he didn't realize I still had the account where he was still money was filtering from that account. So I was still being able to, do stuff. And so I got an attorney, a real expensive attorney, because again, family, hit him with everything, take half, you married this guy, all of that. So here you are, all right, going to go for that. And I found myself investing in an attorney, trying to, hit him with $500,000. Stay with my beach apartment, everything else. And obviously he gets the papers and he finds that out. He's like, hell no. She could stay with the beach apartment, but half a no, I'd rather go bankrupt or I'm moving stuff. I'm not gonna generalize it, but a man that has built all this without me building it, he ain't feeling like, I don't care if that's my baby mama, I'm not giving her half. Yeah. And she's younger, no. So he got a criminal attorney and he was coming at me. He was like, nope. Damn. And so when things got difficult, the attorneys, they postpone.
Which and she was cost more.
And he could pay. And next thing you know, the account.
So he stopped you from fighting. Yeah,
he stopped me from fighting.
Damn.
And there goes, and I'm suffering, and the lights cut off. I really had for Pampers, had for nothing. I was like, I can't. I go to this guy that I know. He's an attorney. We used to drink together in little bars, and somebody said, "Why you don't talk to Reyes?" And I was like, I need out. Like I'm already drained. The kids is that. And I remember a friend of mine, I said, you drive me because I had no car. He was like, tell me, what you gonna do? I'll drive you. And I walked into the attorney's office and he saw me. He was like, I was just destroyed. I was crying. He was like, come here. And he was like, what's going on with you, Lisa? This is not, I know. I just, what do you want? And I'm like, I want to get a divorce. And he was like, and what happened with the case prior? And I told him, he was like, Lisa, where you see yourself 10 years from now? And I'm like, being who I was before. He was like, I don't know this, Lisa. Lisa, walking in your car, like your kids are going to grow. All too shall pass. He was like, you're going to keep fighting for what? $500,000? You know what? That losing is winning sometimes.
Reyes hitting you with that heat.
And I said, that to woke me. I was sobbing, crying. And he was like, you know what? What you bringing in right now? What do you have? And I said, literally, I'm getting $800, I think it was at that time, of child support. He was like, can you give me at least 5, whatever you can? So let's start the process. I usually charge $3,000. Pay me whenever you can. 5 to 5, 10 to 10. But again, what do you want? I said to get divorced. He was like, and what you was fighting for child support for that? And I was like, I think it was like 6,000, three for each. He's like, I'll get you 2. Or I think he said 4. He was like, you good? 4, the beach apartment, and you walk away from everything. Because he don't want to give you nothing. You get divorced? And I said, crying, I was so done with it. I said, yeah, I get divorced. Picked up the phone, called his attorney. He said, hey, we ready to give up everything. She just want this, the beach apartment. That's, safe home for her kids. And we walk. She walks away from everything. And the attorney, I really called him. He said he takes it.
Damn.
And then the attorney called me. He said it was December 15th, 2008. He called and he was like, oh, another thing. He's ready to give up 100% of, parenting. You can have it all.
Wow.
And he was like, and you want that? Even though I cried, I was like, what am I? He gave up 100% of custody of his children just because for the assets. And he was like, that's good because you can go anywhere you want in the world, he said. And I took that and ran with it. Remember, he was in the court. He was like, hey, they already said they accepted it. Where you at? And I was like, I'm riding with somebody. They caught him in traffic. He was like, you getting divorced today? December 15, 2008, I walked into the court. Like, She resigned to whatever was, half of mine. I took the $4,000 child support and the beach apartment.
Mm.
In December and August, I was good friends with a realtor where I lived at. And she knew I wanted to leave. I was like, nah, I got to go. I'm going to be getting this child support. This is, enough for me to. And I was talking to somebody in Florida, and they was like, I have a friend that he's looking for a roommate. Hmm. And I was like, what he charging? He was like, $800 for the room. I was like, tell him I want it. I know the guy. I was already in the mind to transition to Florida. And so happens the realtor was like, hey, I have somebody that came to see the apartments here. She's a cop. The husband is a cop too, but they're having domestic violence issues, and she don't want to go say nothing because they're going to disarm both of them, and that's a process. I told her that you have plans to leave, and you leave in your apartment furnished. She's interested. And I was like, oh my God, awesome. She came in with the next issue. She was like, I told her to come speak to you tomorrow. I was like, perfect. The lady came in. I said, listen, I just need just one room to put the cribs and put everything else. She came into the apartment, like I said, it was the court really nice. She was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't mind. Yeah, it's just me and my daughter. And she was like, how much you want for it? And I think at that time it was like $1,500. She was like, that's great. Put everything in one room. I packed everything. And she took me to the airport. Until this day.
If you've been having a tough week and you definitely want to have a good time, you want to enjoy yourself and let your hair down, I suggest you come to BB Sundays. And we've found a way to make it easier for you. Every single Monday, we're providing you 50% off on entry. That's unlimited food, vibes all day long from 11 to 7. And, the best DJs, the best bartenders, the best you name it at one of the dopest venues at Club Vault. Listen, 50% off with the code The Big 3. The BIG and the number 3. The Big 3 is the code that you got to put in on Mondays. 50% off BB Sundays. Come out, save some money, have a good time, and enjoy the biggest and best brunch party in the world.
Wow. And from the airport, you came here.
I came to Florida in that one bedroom in Orlando with my 3 kids.
Wow. And so at 31 years old, when's your birthday?
September 21.
So at 31 years old, you restarted life again from the bottom, but this time with 3 kids.
3 kids, 1 bedroom, living off my child support and then my rent money.
Wow. Wow. This is crazy. This is crazy.
How far
this is an exclusive right here. Like,
my God, I don't think I've ever. No, I have never.
This is an exclusive. You know what I'm saying? This is an exclusive.
Share this. You would never imagine.
Never. And you carry it like
a boss.
Wow. And this is why I always say, you just got to be kind to people, man, because you never know what somebody been through or what somebody's currently going through, because people can wear so many different faces and be so happy around you, dealing with all kind of stuff in the background. You know what I mean?
Dealing with, have dealt with, have seen it all. Like I tell my kids sometimes that, that was always one of my dreams when, was to take my kids back to where I'm from, because a lot of the times they'll be like, your mother's from New York? Because the way she says this and she says talk and she says coffee, and the kids will always be like, yeah, she's from New York. But my kids didn't never know what's New York or where I was really from. And as I, became successful and became, my financials was up to there, I was like in my head, I'm going to take my kids back.
Wow. For your kids that are watching this or gonna watch this, from the standpoint of your life and everything that you've dealt with till today, what would you tell them as a mom, and what would you tell them as an entrepreneur?
As a mom, I would tell my kids, love on your mom. Those moms that give it up all to be there for you, man. We're very imperfect. Because sometimes growing up, these, kids, we don't have a father figure at home, but I think we balance that very well. Um, a lot of people that are with dad and moms, lack of there a lot of things too. I think you should love on her and focus on the things that you do have. Having a single mom that's thriving, that's been able to be providing, my kids don't lack of anything. That's huge. Only I wish. Mom never drove. Mom never worked. Mom didn't come out ever the projects. My kids don't know what it is to live in the projects. My kids don't lack of anything. When they took them back to New York, they were like, "You're from here?" They done stuff in New York that I never did. I never went to ice skate under the Rockefeller tree. I took them to do that. Explore Manhattan and walked out. We couldn't do that. They did that. The Museum of Wax and all that good stuff, and they did that. I explore that with my kids.
So there's a saying that ties to this, and it's tough times create tough people. Tough people create good times. Good times create weak people, and weak people create tough times.
Oh my God.
And so it's like a cycle because, if you didn't go through everything you went through, as unfortunate as it is, you wouldn't be the version of you that you are today.
Not at all. And not only that, I think the being able to take my pain and convert it into power and purpose to do different. It's what has made me who I am today. Because I still have my sisters up north and I love them to pieces, but continue to, whatever happened, they stayed there long enough. Like, it's an obligation to continue to not wanting to thrive. Because mind you, my sisters, I love them to pieces, but they don't even talk to me. Because it always comes to subject that I think I am better, right? And I'm like, no, you have the same 365 days that I had.
Yeah.
I just done better. I just done better with it.
And it's a fact.
Right? So if you don't drive, if you continue, and I still always have reached out to them, but I guess because, we're in different places in life, they kind of see me like, again, that I think I'm better comes to their head. And rather than clinging on to me and kind of taking things from me, like, I've had my experience as well, as you see. However, I have taken that not to feel pity or anybody to look down on me till they had to do something for me. I had to do something for me.
Yeah. Wow. And, it's those kind of battles where I think I posted something like this the other day, and it was like, I looked at my friends and family as value or something like that. They looked at me as competition.
Amen to that. And it's going to be like that. Whether you're humble, whether you reach back at them, there's always going to be like that beef that you don't even see, but that's their mindset.
Wow.
You reach back out with them with empathy, like, you can too. And they see you like, yeah, whatever, you think, or you think. I'm like, so I could think whatever I want to. That's how you think in all reality.
No, 100%. And so, we're going to conclude part 1.
Oh my God.
We're going to conclude part 1. Trust me, if you're watching this, you're going to want to tune into part 2 because listen, now we start the rebuild. We start this is for the adults. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes. This is Lisa. This is the story right here. The championship.
That's right. So that's right.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you want to share this with a friend, if you can relate to this, say something in the comments, send us an email, send us a DM, whatever. But just know that everybody's dealing with something. And sometimes other people can closely relate to what you might be dealing with. And so make sure you tap into part 2. And it's your host, Moneybag Rich. At the end of the day, we always say, We look good. We live good. Life is good. Talk to us. We talk back. And we are out.